To use vertex map and fields, we need a polygonal object. Let's create sphere, going to display GURU shading lines to see the polygonal lattice. And we go and change the type from standard to another, for example, icosahedron, because it has regular structure. Polygons are almost the same. Let's add some polygons, maybe one more, pretty dense, convert holding C or maybe this button, select spheres, select editing polygon mode, select set vertex weight value to 0, select new tag, use fields, and we'll have to create new field, for example, spherical field. Select it, going to model mode, put it above, and create 3 frames. This position, for example 0 and 10th frames, and on the 5th, in between, we move it to the bottom so it punch our sphere. They have intersection. And now in this zone we will have 100 or maybe 50% of weight map. Going to freeze, going to mode, grow, and now we will have this animation. It's too fast. Let's decrease the radius, maybe 2, maybe 4. Yes. And now we have this not interesting edge. I would like to add few details to it. I'm going to add random field, going to change random mode to noise. Let's go back, going to up the scale, going to remapping, contour, and I would like to add contrast, maybe curve, like this, and set it to overlay. And now we have this organic border. I add one more freeze layer, going to set it to average. It blurs a bit, maybe to 5, set clear, auto update, and let's play. And nothing happens. Clear, nothing happens. Going to normal to maximum, and now we have blurriness and this noisy shape. I think auto update is doesn't affect, and this is our main setup. I think this works great. Now we have to add some morphing deformer. I will use displacer, going to shading, maybe add noise, put it below the sphere, change intensity center to intensity so it only inflate our geometry, going to shading, and let's play with some types of noise, naked, maybe to 500. I think this looks pretty organic. We have another noise types, but I think that this one looks pretty interesting. Now we have to use our vertex map as a falloff, and we'll have this type of animation. Now we add jiggle deformer, so we add this bouncy jelly effect. And I go to object and decrease the strength, maybe to 20. So only small animation in the start. And in displacer I go into shading and add small animation speed to our noise. So it's like bubbling and jetting. I think this looks nice. Create camera. 0, 0, 0, 0. Let's create maybe a square aspect ratio. Change focal length to maybe 50. Zoom in. Or I think even 80. and I think this looks very nice. There are a lot of sharp edges and you can play with subdivision. I'll keep this form simple for our animation, but in the end I'll show you that we can subdivide it 1 or maybe 2 times to get extra details. Let's set up the materials. Let's create a material. Go into Redshift, Material, apply to our sphere. I would like to use 2 noises, or maybe 1 noises. I will stick with standard noise, because I don't know if you're using Redshift version 3 with maximum noise, and you will be able to follow this tutorial on previous version of Redshift. I'll create 1 noise with standard settings and 1 more noise with higher overall scale. So we'll have these micro details. Now we can blend it with color composite node. We take 1 second and create overlay blending between them. So we have this type of material. We can use it as a diffuse color. Roughness. We'll use ramp in between. I'll show you why. Input. Base reflection roughness. You'll see that we lost our specular, and I'd like to keep it, so I decrease the higher value maybe to 80, so it clamp the color. Let me connect. You'll see it's like recoloring, and now we can keep our reflection with simple tweak of this right knot, maybe 75. Less black. So it's roughness. And now I have to adjust the left and the right lights because they're too bright. Maybe 2. I think 3. No, too much. 2.5. And the back one will set to maybe 3. Maybe even 2. But we up it. Scale it up. Lock the camera. Decrease the strength. Or maybe up the strength, but move it to the back. It's like this. And maybe going to ray and decrease the glossy strength. I think this works well. Now we add some bump. We use the same color map input, overall, bump input. And now we have this moon-like surface with micro details. I decrease height scale in half, so we keep some structure, but not killing overall surface. We have some roughness and bumping. The first material is ready, and in next lesson we'll add the second material, details and blending stuff to this setup. After we create base material, we can use the same setup for additional materials, but we add some variants, of course, so they will look a bit different. This is the first one. I'll Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V this, connect, and play with colors. For example, I go into noise. This is the big one, even overall scale is small. I'll keep the dark as black, and I decrease value for white one. And now we get this dark thing. But now we lost all our bump and details. That's why we can use new ramp node, connect directly to surface, and recolor it using dark colorizing gradient. Now we have dark, even I think we can darker, connect, connect to diffuse, too dark for me, add some value, nice. We're going to our noise, maybe offset it so they don't blend exactly the same as previous one. Different zones. We now have to blend it, but before we create few more materials. I use curvature node. Let me play to our morphing stage, introduce curvature node, connect to our surface, and now we have edges highlighted. We can go into pick up convex or concave logic. I prefer concave in this case. Now I'm going to the ramp because it's easier for me to work with. Connect, and in this case I use ramp as lowering the strength of curvature. This one is ready. Now we go to create one more element with vertex map. After I added vertex node, I have to put attribute name to vertex map. I mean vertex map put to attribute name. And now I use ramp node 1 again. There are a lot of ramps here, but I think you won't lose the logic. And now I would like to isolate this segment. I put white in between, in the center, and add dark at the right. So we have this wave zone. We can add some noise, and it adds extra detail, these lines, maybe few of them. Now we can merge them together with composite node. Let me connect and use add mode. So we have some curvature, we have some these wave, maybe shrink down it more like this, maybe decrease the noise. I think this looks nice. Add strength to curvature. And now we have another map, and let's blend all our materials. I'll create one with orange color. Now we insert material blender. We'll create first input with base material, the second input with layer 2, layer color 1, but material number 2. Let me rename this. 1, 2, and connect our vertex map. Layer 1, blend color. We have 2 color already here. Introduce third color. Introduce layer 2 blend color. Now we have to enable it, and it's enabled, I mean set to additive, and add extra strength. So we have this burning edge, maybe like this, maybe like this, 10, And now the one huge thing we need to adjust. Of course, you can play with these lines, add extra noises. Now I'd like to bring a stress to our CPU unit. I select my sphere, going to any mode. I'll pick up the polygons, right click, and subdivide. And now you will see that we have a lot of details in our morphing. Let me pause here, reload the Redshift renderer, take a look for these lava stuff. And after you subdivide, of course, you need to tweak a bit the ramp, for example, for curvature, because it's too aggressive. And one more trick, we go into Redshift, camera, and add this bloom effect for our bright materials. So I play with intensity, with softness, and I think this is ready to be rendered, and I'll show you the result. I'll go to output, all frames, 2056, and hit render. Everything is ready, and we can watch our animation. Of course, there are a lot of things we can improve. We can extend the animation length and add some rotation and even subdivide once again and wait for extra details. But I think this result will show how to use simple new tools called fields for creating morphing effects. Hope you like this video and thank you for your attention. Have a nice day.